Mohammed Foda wins Chicago in a convincing fashion.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. And we're back. Oh, I was supposed to be on the screen, not Chris.
Oh my!
And we're back for another exciting installment of Heavy Muscle Radio. Yes, I am here with the technician, Chris Aceto. Where are you? You're in Chicago, right? You've had a very busy weekend this past weekend.
I'm at the One Seasons, also known as the, not to be confused with the Four Seasons Hotel.
So I was confused what was going on with you, because Chris was in Pittsburgh earlier in the week, like in the midweek, and then he somehow got to Chicago, and so you actually were at 2 shows in one weekend, which is pretty amazing when you think about it, the logistics of it.
It was insane, so and then I traveled on that during that IT. Dave, every time I go to pump gas, I always think one day some Americans are going to us, we're going to go to the gas pump, and none of them are going to work anywhere. Yeah. And then, so when I was leaving from Pittsburgh, when I saw that there was, a IT snafu somewhere in the world, I went to the, I just can't take airports as it is. And I thought, I'm just going to go back to the Pittsburgh hotel and just stay there and just skip coming to Chicago.
Right.
When I got to the airport, the lines were absolutely insane, with the exception of American, and I flew American, so the people were in the American section of the Pittsburgh airport, which needs a complete upgrade, by the way. Gosh, it looks like it's from the 80s. But
the Pittsburgh airport is very nice. I love that airport normally. Maybe it's just that one part.
Dated. It's dated. The city's beautiful. But the airport,
but I'm saying the airport was always like a shopping mall. As far I haven't been there.
Maybe where I flew into, did I fly? I flew. I think I flew American. Whatever the American terminal is, or pretty drab.
So you luckily didn't have any problems. The funny thing was, I had problems, but it wasn't because of that whole. I don't think it was because of that whole IT thing. But I flew back from Puerto Vallarta on Wednesday. I got to Dallas, and I got stuck there. They canceled my flight to Fort Myers. So I actually stayed at Armand Adibi's house for the night. He was very nice and gracious to let me stay there. And then I went and left in the morning, and then my flight was delayed, and it took me forever to get home. I don't know. And I haven't had a delay in a flight in a long time. So I was lucky to get back, but it felt like I was never going to get home. It was like one of those trips that just never ended, type of thing.
Yeah, that's this week. It's never ending.
But now I'm actually only 25 years old again, because I was given lots of stem cells and I've regenerated myself.
Yeah, well, I want you to read out your results 6 months down the road, see if it did anything.
I'm regenerated. I already feel like I'm 25, so it works.
That's because you're away from your kid, Dave. I've been away from my kids for 3 days. I feel like I'm 24. I beat you. No stem cells.
Maybe that's what it was. The idea we actually, the fact that we're out of town might be doing it too. Yeah. So, speaking of kids, your son Fareed did phenomenal at the teen nationals. Got 2 second places. I know he wasn't happy with that, but everyone wants a win. But give us the. I'll pull some pictures of. Give us the whole.
So you can post up the most muscular, Dave. That's the one. Don't take the NPC.
I'll post a few pictures just so people can see.
The ones I sent you are the good ones.
Well, I'm gonna do the ones from NPC News because it's easier for me to pull those. But
I felt them. I know you're lazy. That's why I said just send.
Very lazy, yeah. So I want them to see the official pictures. But again, you tell us about what happened there. This is his bodybuilding pictures.
Yeah, no,
he was in bodybuilding and he was in also in the classic division.
Yeah, I'm going to end the show if you don't post his most muscular from my hotel room.
From your hotel. I'll pull that up.
It's in my Instagram. It's a lot of work. You have to click the mouse. No, he looked great. He was 181, 180 and a half, something like that. I miscalculated. I figured he'd be 185 when he was 236, and he thought he was lean at 236. And we went in Miami out at sushi for 11 p.m. and he said, "What do you think of me competing?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And he said, "What do you think I'll compete at?" And I said, "What do you weigh now?" He said, 236. I said, 188. And he thought I was going to say 217.
Right.
And that was it. He started like his diet that meal. He said, "I'm not eating."
So that's 182 right there?
That's 180 and a half.
Oh, wow. Okay. He looked great.
Yeah, he looked great. He's
got really good lines,
He's got lines. He's got cross-threaded quads. He's got everything.
And he's all natural still too.
You're right.
No, let's give the kid credit, man. He did it all natural. That's great. Let me pull up. So, what's the plan now? Is there any future plan?
He may do a natural show. The NPC is having a natural show in November in DC, and the options are go back to the University of Vermont and study. Dave, I watch this. Go back to the University of Vermont and study, or I ship them out to like Cormier's house, and have him drop out of the University of Vermont, and the money that I saved from paying for college. This is how ridiculous college is. The money that I save, I can pay for the plane ticket, an apartment, a car, food.
He'll probably get a better education with Cormier too.
It is cheaper than the University of Vermont, and he will get a better education hanging out with Cormier.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, if he went and trained and ate 6 meals a day between now and November and trained with Cormier.
Yeah, forget about it. Yeah.
Because at UVM, he was just eating off the meal plan, three meals a day. And so
he was following a Cedric, eating the scrambled eggs.
Eating the gluten and the and the salt stuff. He may or may not compete in November. I got to talk to him when I get home.
So November it's a new show, right?
Yeah, it's a new. I think that I don't want to put words into anyone's mouth, but I believe the NPC is branching out and working to develop a drug tested natural segment,
right?
Which opens up the sport for lots of people.
Would it take the place of like what the Team Universe used to be or something like that?
I don't know if it takes the place, but creates something new, and it creates.
Right. The Team Universe is not a Team Universe anymore. It does. They used to field the team for the universe.
Well,
so
we know that me and Jose talked about this, and I think Sean Roden won the Team U, Derek Farnsworth won the Team U, Tito won the Team U, Jose won the Team U, and those were drug tested events. And
the reason why they called it, just for people who don't know, because
if I can finish, were 100% natural. 100%. It's odd to say. But I'm just saying.
Right, but I don't think people know because the Team Universe is now called the Universe, which takes place in New Jersey. Steve Weinberger runs that show. Used to be called the Team Universe because they would field the team to go to the World Amateur Championships when they used to have those, and so it was drug tested, and like you said, a lot of these names that came from that show went on to get, and then they eventually started giving a pro card to the overall winner at the Team Universe. Like if you won the overall, they would give you one. So, but then it kind of like what happened was Rafael Santoja and Jim Mannion split, and the IFBB World Championships, which was the show that they would go to, is his, and so they don't have that anymore. So now, I guess they're trying to find a natural outlet where they can actually give pro cards to these guys that win naturally. So they want your son to. They had asked for Fareed to do it.
You know, someone, one of the judges said, you know, you could be competitive like now. So, you know, the shows in November. There's a lot of time to change between now and then.
That's exciting. Can he keep dieting? Totally it's a long time.
Well, you know what? He's the real deal. He's got discipline. You know, he's a workhorse. You know, there's workhorses and there's show horses. And, you know, one thing I don't have to worry about if he decides to do it is, you know, that he'll put in the work.
Right.
Not complain.
Right.
He did get moody one day on his diet, and I just loved it. I said, I did this.
Did you give you an attitude?
Let me get a little baby violin. Can I get a baby violin?
I'm sure he didn't like that either. Is he angry?
He just I know his personality. He was just like,
he was over
it. He expressed frustration beyond the pale, and you know, he knows, you know, he respects me enough that he doesn't even express that.
Right. But you know that, and we all know that there's days when you're dieting where you look in the mirror and you just look like crap, and you're like, "What am I even doing this show? I have no right. I'm doing a national show, and I look terrible." And you know, and then there's days you wake up and you think you could win, you know, the Mr. Olympia. So
Did you do this? Did I sleep better? Did I, did I drink more? Was it from the salt from 2 days ago when I had the the chicken at that barbecue, and you know, that was really salty chicken, and then 2 days later I look really good. I wonder if it's the salt.
Right. You just it just comes with the territory, and you got to just accept that there are days you're not going to look good, and there's days you're going to look really good, and that's
But it was
most of the days you look the same.
It was a great time in Pittsburgh. I just wish, you know, it's funny. We stayed and we made a hotel reservation, and when I got there I said, like, how much is the best suite, you know, here? And it was like a $90 upgrade, like nothing. I thought
that's nothing.
Misprint, and you know, overlooking the city. The city's beautiful skyline. You know me, I love anything that I'm like looking out at real estate, and then looking at Freed, and Freed was like, are we gonna get time to see the city? I'm like, no. This is bodybuilding. You go from city to city, and you're like, oh, I'd like to come back here one day. Wouldn't it be great to come back here and explore? I'm like, look out the window in the Uber. That's the most we're going to be able to see Pittsburgh.
You're right. You're 100% right on that respect. So, well, I'm glad it was a good weekend, but I want to give a little credit to the kid who won. Let's pull him up. Noah Urista.
Big Noah. Big arms, big pecs.
Yeah, he's got a lot of mass for a teen.
Yeah.
How old was he? Because your son was only 18. Was he 19, this kid?
I don't know if he was 18 or 19. I don't really know. I'm not sure what, you know, because they used to, like, way back in the day, put their, you know, way back, put their ages on the, like, that's when you had a million teens in the teen class, though.
Yeah. I was surprised how small the teen class was, actually.
Well, that's you know, someone asked me that, you know, my wife asked me how many people were in the show, and I you know, I said, well, teens are just, there's just so much other things to do compared to, like, 40 years ago when you and I were teenagers, and other people, you know, there was that you go to the Y. Maybe your parents would send you to the Y, and you know, there's nothing to do, and no video games and this and that, and just people would gravitate more towards, like, I think, working out.
Right.
And you segue in somehow to bodybuilding.
So what do you think won it for him over your son? Or did you not agree with the decision?
I think there's legitimately more muscle, like in, like, the back, the arms and the pecs. You know what I mean? So like he takes up more space, but like I mean, freed out hamstrings, and he looked great too. I mean,
yeah, I thought he looked good.
Noah looked good.
Yeah.
We'll see him at the. We'll see him at the Olympia. We'll see him at the Olympia, and I'm just kidding.
I was actually more impressed with the classic teen who beat your son.
Yeah, he looked very good.
This kid's real good.
Yeah, he actually better. I think he's better than these pictures show. I mean,
Michael Mindset.
Yeah, he's better than the pictures show. He has he had like a finish to him that is harder to get for teenagers, if that makes sense. A little bit.
He could have won bodybuilding too if he would have done it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, he would have. He has more.
Yeah.
He has like a clean look to the body. He has more muscle maturity. Looks like he's been training.
Right. A long time. Yeah.
Well, just I don't know about a long time, but it's just he has like a more developed look in terms of muscle maturity, which teens, it's hard to have muscle maturity.
Yeah. I'm amazed that he has as much as he has here. It's impressive. And and Lonnie Temper would be very happy because he's got calves too.
Yeah, he has very good calves. I was amazed. They had a big Masters turnout, of course.
Oh yeah, always.
People like, God, it's really impressive, the Masters, simply because people over 60 generally fall apart, and even the people getting fit here are in good shape. If you took the average guy who's in the over 60 class and put him on the beach, and someone said you're over 60, people would be like, you're kidding me.
Right. No, I agree. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Let's see. This guy's really good. This guy won the over 35 in the overall. He got a pro card.
Yeah, I don't
pull him up. Charlie Young.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have won the USA. This guy. I mean, look. I mean, he's really good. Yeah, I don't know. You probably weren't even there when he was competing because you had to leave.
But I saw the pictures. I'm like, but he looks fantastic. I would never consider 36 years old as Masters, though. I don't know how old he is.
He was over 35, but I mean, I the funny thing is, I don't know if I would even do a Master show. I never would have thought to do a Master show when I was still in the prime of my career.
Yeah, well, that's the point. I mean, a lot of times you're coming into your prime at 35.
Right. So I mean, he can compete in the Open easily, and I probably, if I were him, I probably would have opted for that. I mean, obviously a pro card's a pro card, but it's I don't know. Does it matter, Chris, these days? I mean, if I would rather say I'm the USA champion, than I won the Masters Nationals. I guess. I mean, a pro card is a pro card, but it's just a title that you'll always have, Mr. USA, or the national champion if you had the NPC national victory, or even the North American is a nice title. But I think these days the pull is to get the pro card. I got a pro card. They don't. No one cares how they got it anymore. It doesn't seem like there's any more gravitas to winning the USA versus the Masters Nationals, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna try to. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It doesn't seem like it's a big deal. No one knows. We always knew the national champions.
There's not to take anything away from anyone, but a pro card is no big deal. Even a pro card in competing is no big deal, and it's not a negative. But because there's so many shows, we do this. Who won? Who's third at the New York Pro again? In other words, there's so many shows.
Right, we can't remember.
Who's fourth at the Big Evolution show, a big man show? I don't even remember.
I can't even remember who won the show, Chris. Much less fourth.
You and I have bad memories. It's just because we got the Cal Pro, New York Pro, the shows in Europe, the shows in Brazil. Right. So much going on, so many shows, and so much opportunity that it's hard to know who the pro winners are. And then you have somebody who wins I mean, the only thing that's like important now, it seems, is like, did you get the Olympia qualification? You know, did you win the pro show?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, look at Derek Lunsford. Let's take him for instance. He won the USA Championships. You know, he won the 212 Olympia. He won the overall Olympia. I mean, those are really good titles to have. You know, so I don't know. I think that if you have the ability to win the USA or the Nationals or the North American, I think it's a better title. And rather than try to take the easier route through the Masters Nationals, I say go for the bigger shows initially. And then if you hit a point where you say, you know what, I tried a few times, I'm not getting it, then you can go to Masters Nationals or go to Masters, do the Masters division. And if you're over 35, whatever, you can do it. But I just think it's a nice title to have if you can win it, if you have the talent to do it.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents. All right. We had before we talk about the Chicago Pro, which you were there too. We get 2 contest reports from Chris this week because he's actually in 2 places at one time. I know the Heisenberg uncertainty principle says it's impossible, but Chris proved that it's not impossible, and he was in 2 places at one time. But I wanted to bring up, before we get to that, let me see. Grant Henderson died. And I don't know if you remember him from back in the day where he used to do all the, I think it was the like clothing ads for a lot of the companies.
Yeah, he had the model type face, and
yeah, he's from South Africa originally. Yeah, Bob Kennedy loved him.
Yeah,
they had him in all the magazines
all the time.
Yeah. He was only a year younger than me. It's a shame. Yeah, I heard he was in the hospital with some vascular problems, like some blood clots, and it led to a heart attack, and he passed. His girlfriend, wife, or whatever. I'm sure we posted it, and sad, very sad. We're losing so many people. There was a lot of people who passed the last 2 weeks too, and I haven't even given plugs on all that. I mean, but I don't know. It seemed like we were having a good run for a while, Chris, where we weren't having a lot of people dropping, and then all of a sudden, again, we got this like infusion of people who passed, and I don't know what's in the drinking water or anything like that these past 2 weeks, but I think didn't what's his name, Chad Nichols had a couple, like 2 clients that passed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull up this thing. Here we go. Well, talk to me about Chicago while I'm pulling this shit.
Chicago is Tim Gardner. Thank you, Tim Gardner, very much for the media pass. Appreciate it, and Jim Mannion, of course, for the media pass, or the pass. Actually, it wasn't a media pass to roam around anywhere I wanted to go at Pittsburgh. Greatly appreciate it. So the Chicago, 212.
Hold on, before we get to I found the picture. Danny Broadhurst, that's who passed.
Yes, I didn't know Danny Brandt.
I didn't know him either, but he was very young. Yeah, it's very sad. And a guy in Brazil passed also this past weekend. See if I can find that. It was just weird. There was like a lot of like people like who we lost. Let me see what the anyone else posted that other one. They weren't, a lot of these guys aside from Grant Henderson weren't like big name guys, but it doesn't matter. Anyone in our iron sport who goes down, I have a lot of sympathy. What was that picture that you were posting about the woman who painted a picture of Heidi Chopin?
Oh, that's so fun.
That about?
You can go to I follow her on my. You can follow.
I know. I'm going to pull it up. What was the deal with that?
Because I follow her because she painted a picture of someone you and I know.
Oh.
Got it? So that's why I follow her, and then she paints with her feet.
Oh, she does?
Yeah, because she can't use her hands. She has no use.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So.
Oh yeah, I see that. She's in the wheelchair. That's weird.
And so she
painted that picture of Hottie with her feet?
Her feet. If you go on her Instagram, you can see where she does it. And I follow her, and I actually messaged her once, and I messaged no one.
Right.
I was just, if you go on her Instagram is astounding. You can click on it, and she shows where she look at.
There it is. Yeah. Man, I wish I could control my hands as well as she controls her feet. That's pretty impressive.
So I guess it was like yesterday or 2 days ago morning, it came up on my feed, like a picture of her and like Hadi Chopin's portrait. I said, "You got to be kidding me."
Is she like a bodybuilding fan?
No, no, not at all.
Would you look at all those pencils she's got all over the place? She
It's
can't open up
unbelievable.
Yeah. It's
I mean,
phenomenal.
isn't it just and so I I go to her Instagram once in a while, and every time I go, it's just astounding the work that she does.
I'm flabbergasted. It's crazy. It's
And then
insane.
lo and behold, she did the Hottie one, and I was like, this is just crazy. It's crazy because I don't follow like I don't follow. I only follow like 3 bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And I follow hers. So when the bodybuilding when it merged, that she's doing Hottie Chupin, I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Look how accurate it is.
I know. I was like, well, I said, when I first saw it, I'm like, well, she's pretty talented. It's a pretty good picture. I didn't know she did it with her feet. I didn't read the caption. It makes it a little more spectacular, right? When you find out that she did it with her feet. Yeah.
It's fully spectacular.
Yeah. That's amazing. Follow Fatima Habami on Instagram. She's got some incredible stuff up there. I think Neelis was upset that she didn't paint a picture of him. I see commented. Maybe she'll do Neelis next. Unbelievable. Wow. Some people are very talented. I wish I was that talented.
Yeah.
I wish I was that talented with my hands. I do art and I'll be like, oh, this looks really good. I'll be like, man, I'm pretty proud of myself that it looks this good. And then I look at something like that, I'm like, I suck. It's like when you're bodybuilding and you think you're a good bodybuilder, and then you look at Kevin Levrone or something like that, and you're like, I'm terrible.
Yeah, there's different levels to everything, isn't there? Bodybuilding.
There's always someone better than you.
There's someone. There's not someone. There's lots of people there's just very talented.
I wonder how it feels to be Ronnie Coleman and to say, you know what, there is no one better than me. I was the best of all time. That's got to make you feel pretty good. That how they say there's always someone better than you. Well, there's no one better than me.
There's not. There's not in this case. How about that?
There was no one better than me. That's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, maybe in the future. No, right?
Probably not. Yeah, probably will never be anyone better than Ronnie Coleman. Yeah. I don't think we'll ever see the combination of genetics with work ethic like that. It's a rare combination to have both, because if you have the genetics, it's just by nature people won't work as hard because they don't need to.
It's Dave. You just repeat that.
He worked. He worked as hard as like you or I would.
It comes with the territory. How many bodybuilders have you met that are really good and they work hard but not really? And how many people do you know, like I've told you, Dave, like, oh, he's a psychopath.
Yeah.
Which will bring me to Hamza Saeed still in the classic. Because I mentioned him last week on RxMuscle, and he was 6 in the crazy classic. We'll get to classic. But he has passed all barriers and expectations of what someone else would say you will be able to accomplish with the physique that you have.
Yeah. I agree. It's just it's funny because when you don't have like all the tools that you need genetically, you work harder, right? But if you have them, it's natural to not
the way it is.
But Ronnie he trained like he had no genetics. He trained, and maybe it was because he was natural for so long and didn't realize that other people were using anabolics. That he's like, I got to train hard. I don't know how these guys do it. Meanwhile, he turned pro and he's winning the world championships without any drugs whatsoever, and he still looked pretty damn good. I got news for you.
Yeah.
So unbelievable. So Ronnie goes down to the stem cell clinic I was in Mexico, and I had hooked him up there a few years ago. He goes every 6 months, for stem, and he said it helps him. It helps with pain.
I'm trying to think back, Dave. One more little tidbit. I'm trying to think back at the nationals. What nationals it was when Coleman was there, because people were talking about this guy from Texas with 22-inch
Ni-
arms, natural. And when you hear that,
91 nationals. 91 nationals when Levrone won.
okay,
He was fifth.
yeah,
It
Levrone
was
won.
his second.
Yeah,
I think he had only been competing for a year.
yeah, that was a show when people was like, okay, this guy from, and I was like offended when someone said it because I was like, you're not, come on. And even when I saw him, people were like, oh, he's natural. I'm like, no, he's not.
He probably didn't even know what a steroid was at that point. If you had told him and mentioned the word to him, he probably would have not known what it was. But you said, wasn't there a famous picture of his mother standing behind him hitting a double bicep pose,
Well,
something like that?
when he won the Olympia, she came out on she came out on the stage and she had a dress on, like with like a strap here and a strap here, and she flexed her arm and she had legitimate. Someone can dig that picture up. She had legitimate arms, but she didn't train.
No, she didn't train at all. And I heard she smoked.
Her arms.
Yeah.
Dave, I'm not exaggerating. Her arms were on par with Fareed's.
Well, that's where he got his physique from, obviously.
She went up
she
and
could
she
have been
went on
Miss
the stage with them, and she was celebrating. She impromptu flexed her arm, and people were like, "Oh my God, that's his mother." And people asked after that if she worked out, and he said, "Of course." Coleman said, "No, she's never worked out."
Oh, I think I got the picture. Hold on, Chris.
No, that's not the one, Dave. She
No?
had on. She had on stage, so you could see the arms.
Right.
Her arms. This is 2001. I think right there. You're going to go back to 98, where she was 3 years young. They might have been jimmied. Who knows?
Hold on. Here's another good one. Hold on. Let me see. Right? Is that his mother? Yeah. Yeah. Genetics are a great thing. So whose genetics does Fareed have? Your wife's? Or yours? I see your physique in his physique.
Yeah, he has a lot of my physique, but he got the tricep. He didn't get the tricep cap for me because that's not me. And but I had lower lats, so he.
Yeah.
And I think
he's got something like, I think his structure is bigger than yours.
Yeah, he's a big, yeah.
He's wider than you.
He's wider, but his lats a little bit, but his lats are higher.
Yeah. Oh, you think so? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. He has a longer. Do you have a longer torso than you? I think maybe, is that what it is?
Yeah, his torso's longer.
Yeah.
But he knows how to work with it,
No, he's good. He's going to be very dangerous. All right, let's.
I told Jerry Scalise, I said Bob would put on 20 if he went down and stayed with Bob.
Oh my God!
Marcelo, by November, he'd gain like 9 pounds by November. And people were like, okay, this kid is not natural. Right?
Bob would be like, all right, Chris, just leave him here. I'll take care of it from here.
Yeah.
You did good, kid. Let me take over. All right, let's talk Chicago Pro, because one of the things that I think a lot of people were waiting to see is Vlad Saruka, who's in the blue trunks, light blue trunks, who came in second here behind Mo Foda, who's in the red trunks, is one of these Instagram guys that people say it's impossible this guy looks like this in person. Everyone thinks, we all think that, everyone's jimmied up and filtered up on Instagram, but I think he proved here, Chris, that he's the real deal. I mean, this guy's got a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
I actually thought he was going to win the show, to be honest with you. I wasn't there, but
the first call out seemed like, honestly, I think the first call out was 8 people, and I think they did 6 rounds, Dave, maybe 8 comparisons. I thought somebody was going to drop, and Vlad brought at the initial part of prejudging, or most of prejudging, undeniable condition.
Right.
So when you're in an undeniable condition, and he was aggressive posing, he had a lot of stamina.
Yeah.
He was certainly in the first or second position, and because his condition was just so spot on.
Right.
But to juxtapose him, Mohammed Foda is, had better legs, bigger shoulders, also in
Mhm.
very, very good condition, but he wasn't in Vlad's condition. So I think it goes to your default when one guy's in absolutely lights out condition and the other guy's in really good condition, you start to factor in like density and fullness more. And I think that the most muscular of Mohammed Foda and the quads, put him ahead.
Gotcha.
That's my
So
opinion, but
it was obviously very close. Yeah.
Yeah, it was close, and they both of them did not fade in prejudging. But I have to say, when they brought them back out at night, that Vlad's pecs were like flat as a pancake. They just wouldn't even contract. So I don't know
Oh, really? Yeah.
if the prejudging just smoked him, and when he came back at night, that he had nothing left. But it was over the minute they compared him at night. I thought, because I didn't think it was close, because he was just so in the most muscular. There was nothing happening with the pecs.
Mm-hmm. It seemed like on the scorecard that Mo got unanimous first place votes at both prejudging and the night show. It's hard, especially when you're not there in person. I know you were there in person, and like you said, guys fade, and you see it all the time. They come out on stage, and you're like, that guy's the winner, and then 10 minutes later, it's like, what the hell happened to his physique? And sometimes it happens when you come back at night, especially the big guys. You deplete a lot of glycogen on that stage. You can't load that back in a few hours, and so sometimes it looks worse. Yeah, you're done. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mo's been a perennial guy, though. He's been, knocking on that door he gets better every year, and we hadn't seen him for a while. So I'm not surprised, that he looked great. And I think it was a surprising lineup because there were some names in there that didn't even make the cut, right?
It was not too surprising. I don't think there were too many names really that make the cut. It was people were in good shape, and it was.
What happened to Robin Strand? He just like top 3 like a week ago, and he's like 16th here.
Yeah, I think maybe came in a little bit too heavy, and it made it took away from like his taper a little bit, and
Right.
and I don't think that at the previous show guys were in condition like Vlad. You know what I mean? Or what's his face? The former 212 guy, Nate.
Nate Epler. He was 4th. Yeah.
Nate Epler. He was in impeccable condition. And Budesheim was also right there. I don't think Budesheim was like the odd person out because he was technically denser and bigger, than Vlad, and in good condition. But Vlad was just lights out in the lineup, and then so he was like odd out compared to Mohammed Foda. His mind bigger or denser, and then his condition was not as good as Vlad's. And then you had like, what are we going to do with Nathan Epler?
Well, he looked good. I think he definitely. I mean, it was a good lineup. Nate would look great. I saw Stan DeLongo was 6th. What happened to Hassan Mustafa? He was like 8th.
I don't know where he placed. He was like.
He was 8th.
Yeah, he he's been better. He's flat. He looked kind of like flat.
But here's a guy who I thought was going to come in here and possibly win this show. I mean, he had been on a roll. What was off with him?
He didn't have the overwhelming size, I think, that he needed to overwhelm people who he could potentially overwhelm. Like, he's had at different shows clearly more muscle than Budesheim, who ends up 3rd.
Right. Well, Hassan should beat Budesheim, you think, right?
On paper, yeah. In
Yeah.
other words, if he brings, brings the size.
I'm just surprised that something must have gone wrong with him. I mean, I have to believe that, right?
Yeah, this was not his best look.
All right, I'm just looking. I'm just trying to pull some pictures up here. Who were you the most impressed with at the show?
I was impressed with, I was impressed in terms of Epler's impressive in terms of like where that physique can go.
Yeah.
And then Mitfuda, I think, is coming on strong. He's got a lot of density.
Let me pull up some stuff from
and Vlad actually, Vlad is somebody who doesn't even need to be that peeled. He probably can come in fuller and have a better look. Give up a little of that completely lights out condition. Isn't it ironic that like a judge would say, bring in lights out condition and you may win, and you bring lights out condition, you don't win. So it's almost like you have to be that. Because look at Muhammad here. Muhammad looks great.
He looks good. Looks great there.
Really good condition, but even that condition next to Vlad was like not.
You know what though? I think his tan really hurt him. He was really light. I don't know why his tan was so light, because I mean Vlad had the best tan. I'll pull him up in a second.
Vlad had
I mean, this guy has no weaknesses really. I mean, what I'm looking at here, he just looks a little. He just doesn't look like he's dark enough. That's all. But I'm more impressed with him alone here than when I saw him in the lineup. Actually, let's see if I can pull up the Vlad footage. Here's Vlad. Vlad's just a freak. I mean, look at those delts and arms.
Yeah, he was sparkling hard.
He's got ridiculous calves.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a 90s guy, bodybuilder guy, size wise, just like almost, he reminds me of like a Jean-Pierre Fuchs. Remember Fuchs? I don't know. I just think he's like just very big, and full volume he brings to the stage.
The leg from the side was diced. His glutes, hands were diced.
Look at those delts. Those are just ginormous delts.
Yeah.
And it's funny because usually guys who have those crazy delts have trouble getting big arms. And he has big arms. His glutes, hamstring. His tan is like perfect here too.
Yeah. He could use a little bit more back thickness. I mean, if you want to nitpick.
Yeah. He's wide though.
On the back, he's wide on the back double. His back last spread's good.
Yeah. Do you see this guy in an Olympia top 6 at some point?
He needs to bring up the back to be able to talk about top 6.
He's good.
Yeah, he has really good presentation too. He.
I noticed that. Yeah.
It's funny. You know what? I would say he looked really good all the way through prejudging, and it was a brutal and hard prejudging, and he looked good all the way through. And like I said, at night, I was like, when he came out, I just thought, like, God, what happened? He just looked to me like empty.
Yeah,
because sometimes you make it through the prejudge, and some people fade in the prejudging.
Right.
He made it through the prejudge and strong all the way through, but by the time the night show, the night show wasn't like 12 hours later; it was like 4 hours later. So
right.
If you're flat, like, what do you do? Eat like 3
He probably should have gone and eaten everything in the kitchen sink, is what he should have done.
But it's probably showing up like right around today,
Yeah. No, you're right.
He could have eaten all that, and sometimes you eat all that and you get flatter.
Right. No, you're right.
You go out and you eat, like, I eat 3 cheeseburgers and a giant cake, and I have 7 hours to the night show. And so, Vlad, what was your weight after prejudging? 271. What was it after all that stuff? 269.
Right. Yeah.
I'm flatter.
Right. There's Nate Epler. Yeah, he definitely put a lot of size on. Wow. I didn't even recognize.
He put it on, and he put on the right spots. The stance in the lineup is ridiculous. So that's ridiculous.
He was a 212 guy, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah. Dave,
and he was a good 212 guy.
Every show I say, he's like a blown up Bumstead in that front lat spread, right?
Yeah, no, he almost looks like he could be a little drier, but he is a freak. I mean, I can't believe how
he was tight. He was tight. Look at the legs.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good.
His glutes and Christmas tree were ridiculous.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, you see, I think his back needs to be a little bigger. That's about it.
Yeah.
Look at those hamstrings. Yeah, the crazy hamstrings. Separation. Bob, yeah, he would be a Bob. Bob would love him too.
God. Yeah. Right?
Hit the side chest with the hands together. He was very impressive. Very impressive.
Another person Bob would blow up would say, if you gain 5 pounds, Bob would bring him in like 28 pounds bigger. Well, just in case, Dave.
You're right. All right. Now, who are you? Let's go over your guys, because you had some guys, some freaky. You got the 212 winner, right?
Yeah. Well, I had Yan who was like 8th, 9th or something like that.
Yeah, tell us what happened to Yan. Let me pull this picture up here because it's
I honestly thought Yan was going to come in and blow the roof off the show.
Right.
And
what country is Yan from?
China.
Chinese.
So
okay.
He flew Tuesday. It was like a 30-hour flight, and then he got sick. And you know what? He got sick, and Sheila
Brown.
I knew he was sick because his translator was telling me he was sick, and
yeah.
Crazy diarrhea, and he couldn't eat, and because he had crazy diarrhea, I just had him keep his water and salt really high because when you get crazy diarrhea, it's like danger zone.
Right.
So I said I'll be there Friday, and Thursday, Sheila Brown, who promotes the Texas Pro, who is a fantastic person, texted me, and I never hear from Sheila Brown. She said, Chris, I just went to his room to put him through poses. She said he was drenched in sweat, like never seen anyone sweat so much.
Like a fever sweat, though, right?
Yeah, and she said he could not stand up to do any poses.
Wow.
And so I said, well, I'll be there in like a few hours, and Friday the only thing that he could do is eat like 7 bananas. That's what he could hold down. And just keep his fluid high, because otherwise he would be running to the hospital with out of.
A lot of people have been sick lately. I was on a plane. This guy was hacking his guts out next to me. I had to sit next to him. I was in the middle seat, Chris. I was like leaning over I was almost in the other guy's lap, and I got a sniffle from him. People are just, they don't even, they sneeze into it's disgusting. He's using the same, remember your father used to have the handkerchief when he was like this guy handkerchief he was sneezing into, and he was putting it like on the little tray table. I was like, I could see the germs jumping onto my lap from
Dave,
the table.
I sneezed in the post office, a giant sneeze, like right when the mask mandate went away, and like people looked at me with their masks, and I just screamed out impulsively, "It's not illegal to sneeze."
Yeah, it's like you committed a crime or something like that. Yeah, but you're not. You didn't have to sit. I didn't have to sit next to you sneezing on me, though. That's the difference. Anyway, that's just my little rant. So get back to the. So what? So he obviously didn't do as well as he would have done otherwise.
Yeah, he ended up 8th or 9th. It was really it's disappointing only in this. What could have looked like, but I think looking at this show. I don't think he would have placed any higher than 5th. I mean, I know what he looked like. He wouldn't have beaten top 3. He would have been He might have rounded out 5th or something.
Right. Well, let's talk about the 212 winner, Marcelo Alfonsi. Who all I did was hear stories from you the whole weekend about him and his cooking and all this other stuff. How did you meet him, first of all?
I met him like a few years ago. Like, he had contacted me, and then I wanted you to prep me, and then like he fell by the wayside. Nothing happened, and then he contacted me this year, and he said he wanted to take a year off, and I said taking a year off is the stupidest thing in the world. It's
What was he
like
taking a year off for?
at mass.
Oh, you wanted to do open?
Well, it's just like when people do this. Hi, I'm 24 years old. I'd like to be a millionaire by the time I'm 70 or something. Well, one, the million will be worth 10 cents. And two,
Right.
if someone says I'm 25 years old, I want to be a millionaire in 6 months, you think
Right.
they're crazy, but at least you have to gas it, meaning you have to do something about it. So when he said I want to take a year off, I says mistake. I can't. You look good. You should just compete this year.
Right.
So he did crazy. He did a show. He's done 5 shows in 4 weeks.
Right.
He did a show in Canada. He's from Brazil, but he did a show in Canada. And then the next week, he did another amateur show in Canada. And then the next week, he did the Vancouver Pro Qualifier, and he won that. And then the next day, which was last Sunday, he did the Vancouver Pro. And I said, you know what? I'm going last minute to Chicago. I said, what do you think about just like sucking down to the 212s?
Oh, I see. Okay.
He said, because you're only 218. What's another? I mean, you can weigh in, and of course, I had to contact the Supreme Court, which is Jose, and I said, Jose, what do you think? He said, oh, he can win it. He said he gets to weigh in I think you get to weigh in like 2 days before.
Oh, okay.
Rather than like last minute. And so I said, oh,
Right.
that sounds like a good plan. You might be able to win. You might be able to. We'll see. So his first time is a 212, second pro show, and he's going to the Olympia.
It's
And
great.
he was on Saturday on the night show, which was only 5 hours from prejudging.
Yeah.
He was. I thought he was going to win prejudging, but at the night show, it was a slam dunk. His back double, and he just was really, really finished. That's a perfect word to describe the way he looked at the night show. I just knew. I told him after prejudging, if they, if they have to judge tonight, I think you're going to be too much. Which is only 4 hours. You know what I mean?
Right.
5 hours, but you get some people. You know how the body is. Sometimes people, you get a meal and you get fluid in you, and you just get worse, and get another meal and you just get a little better. And he just looked a little bit better for the night show, and that's how it panned out.
Marcelo, I mean, won unanimously. I'm looking at the scorecard right now, so that was a given. Now, my question is, what's going on here?
Which goes to Dave. Just because it's unanimous doesn't mean it's like any slam dunks. Because I thought prejudging was close. I thought he might have a lead, but at the night show, in other words, Dave Palumbo could be the judge, and I don't know who I got. I don't know if I got Bo, or I don't know if I have. I just don't know who's splitting hairs. But you get the one on the scorecard, and when there's ones across the board, it makes it look like it was a
right. But it was close in every judge's mind. I got you. What are you eating here? You never eat at shows. You fast during shows usually.
Dave, pause this damn tape. His mother has a restaurant in San Paulo that he's been bragging about, right? And so his mother came to the show,
right?
And he wanted his mother to cook for me. I'm like, I'm a food snob. If I don't like it, I'm going to be critical, and she's going to get mad. So she made me steak and pasta Friday night, and I said, this is off the hook. It is incredible. And I said, if Marcelo wins and goes to the Olympia, you have to cook all my meals for me.
Which is pretty easy because you only eat once a day, so it wouldn't be very hard.
So that was Friday night, and then Saturday he won. So I went over to the room, and she cooked steak and pasta again, a different type of pasta.
I have a question. How come all the Brazilians have gourmet food going in their hotel rooms? How do they? Eduardo Correa used to do it too. He was always like, he had like pots and pans and no one in their right mind would be creating these meals like prior to a show.
Yeah. So
it's got to be a Brazilian tradition or something like that.
I don't know. So she cooked for me here, and I'm putting in the digs against the Brazilians who I used to.
Tell her to make 2 play sets at the Olympia because I need to be fed too, Chris. I'll be there.
So there I was making an announcement of it's on my Instagram of like I was just getting under the skin of people I helped from Brazil or previously helped from Brazil. I said Marcelo's not my favorite.
You called out everyone
because his mom cooks for me now.
Yeah, you called out everyone. You abandoned all your old guys there.
You come to the Olympia, I'm telling you, I am going. You're going to film it. I'm going to go bring you by his room, and she will cook us.
I want to plate of food. I'm hungry watching that video.
It is. My wife said, "Well, how good could it possibly be? The pasta." I said,
"If you're raving about it, it's got to be good. Yeah, it's got to be good." Because you don't really. I haven't heard you rave about too many things, to be honest with you. So it must have been excellent.
Yeah, it was a blast. It was phenomenal.
I gotta give it to Tim Gardner, man. He had like every division at this show. I don't know how he does it.
Give it to Tim, and give it to actually, of course, go back to the open men's judging. I am a good judge when they whittle it down.
Right.
But to know who to call out a lot of times is hard.
Well, Steve's great.
And to know who to compare them to is hard. Right. And Steve was on his A game because it was a small stage, but he called out 8. And someone said, "Why would they call out 8?" And you know what my answer was? Because the 8 they called deserved to be in the call.
Right.
Maybe he could have started with 6, but the 8, I think the 8 there needed to be called, and you had to be able to see them. And the stage was tight. And of course, everyone's stepping up and crowding, and he was just going nuts, screaming at people.
Not only though did Tim have all, not only did Tim have all these open divisions though, Chris, he also had all the masters divisions too in the pros. I'm talking about.
I know.
I mean, that's a lot. Number one, it's a lot of money you got to give out. Number two, it's a lot of prep and the judges have to be on the mark because it's a long show.
Dave. Before I go ahead, I want to compliment. I want to compliment him again on this. I don't know if it's novel because I don't go backstage much at all, but he had people back. When you go backstage, it was a small backstage, but he had like this holding room before he moved people backstage on the divisions. So if you were like at the 212, they would keep you in the holding room, and they say, "Don't worry, you guys are on next, but because there's not enough room backstage, we'll keep you here and we'll move everyone." So it's only the 212 people backstage. So, so you don't have like people hanging around who are like in the open and in the bikini and they're the before and they're after. And someone wants to go like set up a shop or camp backstage, with all their handlers. And so it was really organized in that he had this, hangout room where people, this is where, the men's open will be, and we're going to move you when we need you backstage. So it didn't create this crowded and like disorganized feel to the show.
Yeah. And I know you say it sounds like big deal, but it's a big deal when you're back there because it gets confusing. People miss classes because of that. So they keep everyone segregated so that they can figure out, all right, now 212 is up. So all the 212 guys are in place. Now wellness is up, all the wellness girls. Because I'm telling you, I've seen pros. You wouldn't think it happens. Pros miss classes because there's so much chaos back there that you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So, and I encourage, if you're a masters competitor, you should do there's not that many master shows, pro shows. You should take advantage of these shows. I have a client who did it, and she was like the only one in her class, and she won. I mean, Laura Zaniga, she looked great, and so she won 55 and over. You you got to do, if you're a Masters and you're still competing, there's, like I said, there's so few Master shows out there that you should do them all. At least, get some mileage out of your pro card, because a lot of the Masters pros are not going to be, competitive in the open class, but they will be competitive in these Masters classes. And guys like Tim are putting these shows on for the Masters to have a venue to compete in. So take advantage of it. Don't skip these shows. I mean, it's not like you're 20 years old. Take advantage of while you can do it. I always tell people,
Yeah,
so.
well, I tell people down the pole. The irony is, you said you're not 20 years old. Sometimes when people are 20, I'm like, listen, that goes back to Marcelo saying, I want to take the year off. Some people besides, not taking the year off, give some urgency, but you could get hurt. When people don't compete, and they say, God, I was like 28 as a pro. I should have done more pro shows. What happened? Well, 29, I tore my meniscus or something, and I was never the same after that. So,
you're 100% right. Look, I was talking to Armand Adibi. We were in Mexico together. We were doing the stem cells, and he's like, and he looks really good. I'm like, and he hasn't competed in like 8 years. I'm like, and he was thinking about competing. I'm like, you know what? Do it. He's like, because I'm going to help him out. And he's like, I don't know. You think I should just wait till next year? And I said exactly what you told me just now. I said, what if you get hurt?
Yeah.
You're 40. You look the best you've ever looked. Do it now, because next year is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling good and everything's firing on all cylinders, don't wait. Get on stage. See where you're at. You never know. The show could be a little weak. You might win. I think he has a good chance of winning at the North American. So like do it, or do Masters. They have the Masters USA now at the end of the year. There's so many shows and opportunities. Take advantage of it if you're out there, because don't wait a lot of times, because you might not ever get a chance to do it again, or not be at your best, at least. But our words of wisdom, as Chris and I sit in our comfortable chairs, eating whatever the hell we want, we're telling people, go suffer. I know you're 50 years old, but suffer and diet and do the show.
Yeah. Well, you got to take advantage. You got to take advantage of your youth.
Yep.
Or take advantage of opportunities that you don't think are opportunities.
Yeah.
I told. I mean, this was not as, I didn't tell Marcelo Alfonsi that he was going to win, but I said, it's an opportunity. You're in shape. Why wouldn't you? You just did these 2 amateur shows. You're still a little tired. Got his pro card. Turned, take it. Take advantage of it. Go to Chicago.
Turn pro in Vancouver, right?
I said,
Chris?
yeah. And I said, here's what, if anything, if you get smacked off the stage, then you know where you stand. At least you get beaten, you can say, gosh, these guys are better than me. And here you are at the end of the day, the irony is you're right there. You're going to the Olympia. So
here's Vancouver, where he got the pro card. Look how excited he is.
Yeah.
That's great. It's great. I love seeing people's emotion when they win like a big show like that.
Yeah. It's so funny, Dave. You know what? When he won that show, I said, just
I lost Chris. Chris Aceto. I think the president called. I think Trump's got him on the line.
I had to block him. That's him. That's Marcelo calling me now.
he's excited, Chris. That's why he's got to go over strategy for the Olympia with you today.
Well, you know what? I should have a YouTube station, but I'm too lazy. I don't know how to use my iPhone. But he thought he looked better today, and I said, okay, let me come over and see. Maybe. I said, no, you don't. You just feel better.
Everyone says that, though. Everyone looks good the day after with all the pizza and crap they eat the night before.
I said, this would have been third. This would have been third on stage.
Level. Yeah. They're
that's
totally
what I told him. I said, you would have been third in this shape.
No, you know what happens? People don't realize that when the stress of the show is gone and you eat, the food goes to all the right places. When you're stressed out and your cortisol levels are high, and your epinephrine levels are high, adrenaline, things don't go as well. And that's why we don't feed you like crazy, dirty food, because it would be a disaster on your body. When you're relaxed and nothing matters anymore, the body responds to the food you're eating way differently because the hormone levels in your body are completely different. And I think people don't understand that. You can't look like you do the day after the show, the day of the show. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. I'm sorry. And you have to accept that as a reality. And that's why we're much more conservative, prior to a show versus what you can eat after the show's over. So
you're exactly right.
I remember I did a show once. And I'm like, I was going to do a photo shoot the next day or something like that. And I'm like, I'm going to eat everything in sight. And of course I looked great because there was no stress on anything,
Yeah.
And then, for one show, I tried to do a little bit of a dirtier thing. And someone said, don't take diuretics. And I looked like a disaster. I wasn't like crispy looking.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work the same because there's nerves involved,
Yeah.
And
well,
nerves,
good, and stage lighting will.
oh, yeah. Highlight every little blemish. Yeah.
What it's very revealing.
Yes.
You might have felt in that hotel room blasting full and hard. Your muscles probably felt like rocks, and they probably were rocks and did feel like rocks. And you probably could feel any. Oh, yeah. New rule. I'll start using my Bill Maher new rules. Someone told me this new rule. A bodybuilder told me a couple weeks ago, competed, I can't feel my contractions. And I said, contractions are for the gym. I don't care if you can't feel the contractions. It looks like you contract everything.
Right.
So you don't have to feel contractions on the stage to be able to look like you're the winner. So Dave, when you probably felt like a brick, once you got under those stage lights, they revealed that, you know what?
Terrible.
You're not going to win.
Doug Wentz gave me the best bit of advice, posing advice once. He said, you don't have to flex hard like you're in the gym training when you're on stage because you're in shape. He goes, all you have to do is move your body in position. And once you do that, if you're in shape, it's going to look like you're made of granite. And when he taught me that, it stopped me from being like so mechanical on stage. You ever see these guys that are like over flexing? And then when you do that and you realize you just have to move into a position, now all of a sudden you become fluid on stage. And I try to tell that to all my clients who have posing issues. Just relax. You don't have to do a set of squats or bicep curls on stage. You just have to move into the position of the pose.
Yeah, don't overpose.
And that's really yeah. All right. Well, good recap from Chris Aceto. 2 shows in one weekend. That might be a record for Chris Aceto, and it's certainly a record for me. I don't think I've hit 2 shows in one weekend. I've guest posed at 2 shows in one weekend, but I've never covered it 2 shows in one weekend. So you must be a little bit exhausted at this point.
Yeah, just that, and I have to go home to infinitesimal work. So
the reality, you have to go home to work.
I hate Sundays.
Well, have a safe flight, Chris. Great contest coverage. Congratulations on your son Fareed, and hopefully we'll see him on stage in November at the new Pro Qualifier Natural Show. For now, as we say every week, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
We'll see you next week, guys.